the day will come where there will be something for Ryan and I to clown about, and we will do that when the time is right. But we do not feel like now is the time.
You sound like Taylor. When the time is right. If you guys are into it, are you into it still clowning? If you're still into it, let us know.
Welcome to Hits Different.
Lee hee hee. I'm Ryan and that's Molly.
It's been almost a month since Taylor Swift made the announcement that she purchased her masters and literally changed our lives.
No, but really, we can now listen without any anxiety or stress whenever we want.
We're going to update you on how we've been feeling and spending our time, our listening time since Taylor made the announcement. And we're also going to update you on the latest in Taylor's involvement in the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni legal feud.
Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or follow us wherever you're listening to this podcast.
You can also join our Patreon if you want to watch our show ad-free, and we also post bonus content there. We just posted the recap of Taylor and Travis at the Stanley Cup Finals, and by the time this episode comes out, there will also be a recap available of Taylor's visit to the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital in Florida. In case you're new to our channel or our show and you don't know what recaps are, we started doing this during the Eras tour, where we would basically make a highlight reel of all the best moments from the different shows on the Eras tour. And then people liked it so much, we started doing it whenever Taylor makes a public appearance. So we hadn't done one since the Super Bowl, but we were overdue. And so now there are 2 new ones available. And if you want to watch those, the link to our Patreon will be in the description of this episode. Now it's time for a new segment, which is basically just a bestie catch-up session, because it's been a couple weeks since Ryan and I have recorded together. The last time we recorded together, she was here in person the weekend that Taylor announced that she purchased her masters. And we were trying to think of a fun name for what this segment should be. And the best that we could come up with is "Did my friends say to get me by?" because of the song Hits Different. But we want to know if you guys have any other suggestions for what we could call this in the future. Leave your ideas in the comments. So the first thing I want to talk about is that in our last episode, we were doing a question and answer session, and someone asked a question about which animals would be associated with which albums. And you guys came through in the comments with a lot of great feedback, because Ryan and I had some hilarious answers and you guys gave us some even better ones.
First and foremost, I want to shout out the person who agreed with me about thinking snail for Tortured Poets out the gate. Whether you were just, saying that to make me feel better. If that's true, wild and respect. And what is going on with their brains? Yeah, no, y'all had a lot of good options. And I feel like overall we were on like the same wavelength. But ones I didn't even think about were the Phoenix for Midnights. Love.
I know. And how did you not think of the Phoenix when you have a Phoenix tattoo? Yeah.
And You're Losing Me is everything,
Yeah.
It's my mantra. So
that's probably your favorite Midnight song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. It doesn't really count because it's, technically like deluxe vault, if you will, whatever. Right. But yeah, for sure. Top. Yeah. But the Phoenix, I'm like, yes, yep, brain stuttering because
you're running through the rest of the track list to confirm. Yeah,
pretty much.
The other one that I loved that someone threw in for Midnights was Black Cat, and I don't know how I didn't think of that with like Vigilante and Draw the Cat Eye Sharp Enough to Kill a Man. I just feel like Midnights just kind of give Black Cat in the Shadows vibes, so I loved that one for sure.
Yeah, way cooler than the owl that I think we both.
Yeah.
Or that you chose, or we both kind of
chose that just because it was nocturnal.
Yeah. It made sense. I don't not want the owl, but the Black Cat and the Phoenix are sexier and they match the vibe more.
I agree. Yeah.
Also, the wolf for Tortured Poets, based on lyrics from the Prophecy. Love that. Just the wolf in general. Like, that's a really unique animal for the album. And I really like that.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
People agreed with
you on the Raven. Yeah.
Yep. I felt validated there.
Or the obvious Black Dog choice that we skipped over because it was too obvious. But
yeah,
Black Cat for Midnight's, Black Dog for TTPD. I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I stick by the Raven, but I like the Phoenix for Midnight's. That's really cool.
And also in our last episode, I threw out there that we were considering talking about The Summer I Turned Pretty on the pod, as well as The Traitors. So if you didn't know, The Summer I Turned Pretty uses a bunch of Taylor's music in the show. And then The Traitors is going to have Donna Kelsey in the upcoming season. So we're highly invested in both of these shows as Swifties. The Summer I Turned Pretty is going to start airing in the middle of July. July 16th is when the first 2 episodes drop. So we're going to have more info coming for you soon on how we want to cover that. And then Traitors, we have time. I don't think it's going to start airing until January.
A lot of Traitors fans in the comments. I couldn't get a grasp on how many seasons there actually are so far.
This will be the 4th season.
6? Okay. Got it. Yeah. I mean, we need an excuse to, have a weekly hang. So I'm here for it. Especially if you guys are into it. It's just another way for us to pass the time, especially in January. It's a rough month depending on where you live. So it's a good time to settle in and have something to watch and, talk about.
Yeah. And Ryan, it's going to be so funny to watch her reactions to the season 3 and the final season of The Summer I Turned Pretty, because I've read the books. I know what's supposed to happen. She has not read the books and doesn't know what's going to happen. So it's going to be a fun journey.
I thought the show ended after the last season. So that's where I'm at. I was like, what do you mean there's another season? I just thought that they were going to leave it. I can't even remember how it ended.
It ended with, well, I don't want to spoil anything. If people haven't watched the first 2 seasons yet and they want to, go watch them. You have a couple of weeks and then we're going to start diving into it. So we won't spoil anything if you haven't read it yet or watched it.
Yeah. It ended in a way that it could have ended that way, I think, if you didn't know any better. And currently, if you watch the trailer for season 3, the Taylor songs, like Molly mentioned, currently are a very magnificent mashup of Daylight and Red.
It's so
very
good.
Well done. So
very well done.
Go watch the trailer if you haven't yet.
Literally, the trailer itself will make you want to watch the show. The main thing that we wanted to talk about is that it's been a month since the announcement that Taylor owned her masters, and we were together when that happened. We got to celebrate and listen to Reputation together and just start letting the news sink in. And now, almost a month later, how are you feeling about it? What have you been listening to?
A few people, I feel like, talked about how we were just once again Tay blessed being together for that weekend. And I still can't believe it that, the Tay gods really said today is the day when you were en route to seeing Molly. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
We would have both been in shock and emotional and happy and everything, no matter what. But the fact that we got to digest and process and celebrate it all in person together as long distance besties, it was like perfect. It couldn't have been better.
Because back when Rep TV was a possibility, there was always so much anxiety of when is she going to announce it? How quickly will I be able to get to wherever Molly is? And what scheduling is that going to mess up when that happens? So the fact that we had to do nothing and I was already literally on the plane when the news dropped is crazy. And that I paid for Wi-Fi, which is also crazy because I never do that. Anyway, I digress. The Tay gods aligned. Tay Voodoo was strong that day. So yeah, I've lost track of how many times I've listened to Rep. Shocking. And specifically the first 4 tracks. It's kind of how I have hyperfixated on TTPD before. The first 5 tracks, you're just, just going. And sometimes either I'm busy and like I can't keep listening after the 4th track. That often happens. Or, my brain just goes somewhere else. But those first 4 tracks, no skips.
Ready for it. Endgame. I did something bad. Don't blame me.
Immaculate. And the craziest part about listening to Rep now is having the Eras Tour experience and how she has sang those songs. And all of a sudden now, there's a trend going around on TikTok, which I'm obsessed with, of the backing vocals mixed with the regular vocals, like coming, both sounding the same volume for Ready For It. And I'm now hearing her music in such a different way. And I'm hearing the undertones and it's crazy. And it's like hearing the songs for the first time in a totally different way. I never heard any of that back when I listened to Rep, pre-Eras Tour. And now I feel like my mind has been awakened. Same thing with I Did Something Bad or Don't Blame Me. And and then also adding your own Eras Tour little bits to it, It's been a whole experience.
For me with Ready For It, I always in my head do the extended outro that the Eras Tour has. I can't unhear it that way. It feels like the song ends early now, the studio version of the song.
I know.
The amped up, let the games begin, let the games begin. Yeah.
It's a disservice. Someone please edit that and add it on. Come on.
I know. And with I Did Something Bad, the fact that we hadn't listened to these songs for so long, or we only listened to them so few and far between, and then if you did, you felt really guilty about it. That's at least how that was Ryan and my experience
for sure.
with the Reputation. Then when she finally did sing it on the Eras Tour, it was acoustic. So just the full production of the studio version of this song, you just listen to it, and there's no way I can't listen to it and just get chills and feel so happy that like we can listen to these songs again. I'm
transcended back to the Rep Stadium tour when I listen to I Did Something Bad now. Probably because I don't have an Eras Tour version outside of the acoustic, which isn't the same. I'm transported back to the Stadium tour. And so I have the Rep Stadium tour version in my head. I have the Eras Tour version in my head while I'm listening to those songs, and it's a very fun experience. I almost daily have a moment where I'm on a walk or a bike ride and I have my AirPods in and I am vibing on music. And so Rep has been in my ears multiple times a week, every week for the last month. And I know you've been running only to Rep.
Yeah, I've had a couple of travels the last few weeks. So I was on a work trip where I really couldn't listen to music very much. And then we had a family trip when I was finally able to go for a run again after probably a week without it. And I put Rep on and heard Ready for It. It just, it's so good. It felt like, I had to take a break for a week unintentionally, and now we're back. And I've pretty much exclusively listened to Reputation for the last month until this past weekend, because it was the summer solstice, and here in America it's the official start of summer, and I gatekeep folklore for summertime. I don't listen to folklore really outside of June to August, September. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's folklore season. Let's put it on. And I just had a whole moment. I was already telling Ryan about this last night as it was happening. I'm just sitting on my porch, seeing the fireflies fly around, listening to folklore. And same thing with folklore. I'm picturing the live versions of a lot of these songs. And it's just exactly what Taylor said that she wanted for us when she opened the Eras Tour. And she would say every night, these are songs I've written throughout my life, but from here on out, I want, when you hear these songs, when you're out and about in the world, I want you to think of tonight and the memories that we've made. And that's literally how I felt listening to folklore. I was just transported back to the August run at the Eras Tour and things like that. And Taylor's discography is so diverse. Going from Reputation to folklore is so different. Dude. But you need both. You need all of it. You need the duplicity.
I don't forget about Folklore and Evermore, because just saying that out loud, that's a sin and that's not true. But I forget in the sense of, because they're more subdued albums and they are more seasonal. It feels like, Evermore's a whole vibe in the winter or stick season and when you're feeling some type of way. And same thing with Folklore in the summer and all of that. So I forget, because a lot of our other albums are more, whenever, play them whenever, whatever the vibe is. And so there's such a fun little warm hug to come back to be like, oh yeah, folklore. Freaking folklore, man.
And I think in my head, I thought that it would feel too low key coming from Rep, but it actually doesn't. Once you let yourself get into it, there's so much intricacy in the production of the music and in the storytelling that it doesn't feel subdued or whatever. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it makes me feel too much, which is also why I stay away from it, because some of it's, it digs heavy in there. Yeah. So I stay away from it sometimes if the vibe isn't good in my head or out in the world. It has to be like a nice day and like kind of light to vibe through. I was telling Molly that I intentionally, unintentionally stopped listening to the song August as we get closer to August, because as we all know, August 1st rolls around and it's like I'm treating it how I do Rep right now, where I'm listening to the song August pretty much like every day, because it just hits so different in August. August is just a whole vibe. So I've haven't listened to it in a minute, and I'm probably going to stop and keep that going until August 1st to just, make it real special when the day comes.
Last year, I did gatekeep August until August. And then I felt like all of a sudden August was over and I hadn't been able to enjoy it enough. So
there's 31 days. How many days do you need?
But August is really busy for me with work. And
you
I
can
just
listen
don't
to it
feel
after
like
August. You're allowed.
But
I
don't feel like it hits the same after August.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. You're right.
It's an amazing song.
During,
top Taylor song all the time. Yeah, but after
right.
August, you kind of feel sad about it. The fact that August is over. It's slipped away into a moment in time.
You're right. I mean, it's kind of a sad song anyway. You're like, how is it August? I'm already feeling anxiety about summer as I do every year.
Summer.
If you live somewhere that has seasons, you get this. If you're somewhere, I'm from Florida where this doesn't apply and you don't understand, but seasoned peeps understand your summer is limited, so you get anxiety real quick. Even like right now, it's like, oh, it's only the first day of summer. It's like, but it's halfway through June,
almost the end of June. Yeah,
and
or for the people who live in just totally different time zones, for instance, Australia, their summers are winter.
Opposite,
so I don't even know what August weather is like for them. But I digress.
Cold.
My whole point of this is I'll probably gatekeep sometime mid-July. I'll make myself stop listening to August so that I can fully appreciate it. But I just got it back. I'm gonna wear it out for a little bit and then take a quick break, and then it'll be August. So
speaking of wearing things out, so I hyperfixate on music just in general. It's just how I consume music. I obsess over something, wear it out, and then I need a break. And so because rep has been taking up all my time for Taylor's music, I have not been listening to Tortured Poets. And last night I was watching a TikTok and I'm Gonna Get You Back was playing, and I was like, and it was the bridge. And I had a moment, I was just like vibing. I don't even know what the point of the TikTok was. It was just the bridge of I'm Gonna Get You Back. And I'm just like vibing in my bathroom while I'm like listening, like getting ready. And I was like, dang. And then I remembered I haven't listened to Tortured Poets in probably like a month, which is a big deal because that has been my on repeat album for the last year because there's so much diversity to it. I've always sprinkled it in amongst other albums of hers, and I'm excited to, I think in the next day or so, it's time to go back.
Yeah. When I was on the plane ride coming back, I did put on Tortured Poets because I just needed a slightly more calmer vibe than rep. I was getting some work done, and I put on TTPD, and it hit so hard. It's just Taylor's music is just so good. It doesn't matter what it is.
And it's funny because we talk about this conversation all started talking about her masters and being able to listen to whatever we want. We're just talking about stuff we had all along minus rep. But I mean, it's also just highlighting the fact that her discography is just so deep at this point that you really, whatever, and now that she has her masters, whatever your vibe is, go.
You know what? The song that I forgot about that I hadn't listened to that we can listen to now and has been my hyperfixation for probably a week-ish is I Don't Want to Live Forever.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, okay.
When we get our Apple replay at the end of the year, I will be curious to know what this week did for that song because I have been mixing that in with all of my rep listens because to me it's like a rep love track. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. A good reminder. I haven't heard that song in a minute, and I love that song. I love Zayn just in general. I love him so much.
And it's just overall best part of getting Taylor's music back is that we no longer have to overthink when we hear Taylor's music out and about in the world. We no longer have to overthink all of it and which version it is and things like that. And I'm still trying to train my brain to not worry about that. And when you were recently planning a pretty big event, it all came in handy that you also could play any of Taylor's music without worrying about what version it was or if she owned rep or not.
Yeah, Taylor getting her masters back at the timing of this event that I planned was very advantageous because I recently planned and executed a Taylor Swift bike ride, which was probably one of the highlights of my year so far, which is kind of sad because it's already June. But I mean, Swifties will get it. And
It's not sad at all. It was really cool.
It was cool. It was kind of like not even like a year highlight. It was like maybe like a life highlight because it was just so cool. And as an anxious girly, I was super anxious about even just doing it and executing it. So as someone who loves Taylor Swift probably as much as my other interest, which is biking, I love biking. That's why you always see bikes in the background and my injuries. And there's a nonprofit in Portland, Oregon that organizes a ton of different bike rides throughout the summer. And I thought, there's not a Taylor Swift ride on the calendar. So why not? There was one last year, but there wasn't yet. And I just ambitiously locked in that date. June 13th, of course, the only Friday 13th of the year, and was like, could do an Eras Tour bike ride. And I quoted Taylor. It's like, what are we going to do now? A 3.5 hour bike ride? And I was like, yep, that's exactly what we're going to do. Or no, we're going to do a Taylor Swift bike ride and it's going to be 3.5 hours. Yep.
Encompassing all of her eras.
So I did the most recent playlist, like the last, like the final playlist when the tour ended. So it was the whole thing. And I was so anxious leading up to it because it kind of became a big endeavor. I went from just haphazardly putting it on the calendar to, oh, I'm actually organizing this whole thing by myself. And you don't know how many people are going to show up because there's no RSVP. You just kind of full send it. And it ended up being so much freaking fun. I encouraged people to wear their Eras Tour outfits. So many people showed up with their Eras Tour swag. So many people had like their own outfits. I wore my little rep outfit with the snake bodysuit and Converse because, for bike friendly. And we had to have surprise songs, of course. So halfway through the ride, we went to this one spot to listen to surprise songs. The mashups are on Spotify from the European tour. So on guitar, I chose Death by a Thousand Cuts and Getaway Car featuring Jack Antonoff because, of course, we had to get a little rep in there. And then on piano, I chose Haunted and Exile. And it just so happened to be the Edinburgh one, which was our show. So that was really fun. No one knew. As a classic surprise set, and I had volunteers that came out with their sound bikes. We had the music vibing through the whole stretch of people. There were over 50 people, probably close to, I don't even know. There were way more people. And so if you want to see video from that ride, go to our social on TikTok or Instagram at It Hit Stiff Pod, because some of my friends were there and they took really good video. I also had one of the people who showed up sent me a 10-minute version of the ride with all the footage. So it was just really fun. And now I'm thinking about, I don't want to wait till next year, and I'm thinking about maybe doing another one in the next few months, like an August one, like an abbreviated version. But
right, like a different album or
like
a
maybe
different
like a
playlist.
folk, like something.
Yeah.
Long Pond.
Ooh.
Alex just yelled Long Pond Sessions from the other side of the room in case anyone couldn't hear that.
Well, obviously we talked about August. So if I'm talking about August, I'm thinking, okay, something around, some kind of like summery vibes, But it was also just cool because you're listening to the whole Eras Tour set list and you're going through this very long bike route. It ended up being just over 13 miles. That was a coincidence. It was like 14 miles total.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Someone shouted at 13 miles, we just passed 13 miles. And I was like, I loved all the commitment. There was a street called Taylor Street where we started. It was just, I tried to be so Taylor coded as you should, if you're hosting this ride. And people, I think, were really appreciative, saying that, besides the fact that the music was on point with the sound, it was also just, it was an Eras Tour experience. And so you're listening to the Eras Tour and you're going to these different spots, and the timing couldn't have been better. Coincidentally, when we got to the surprise songs, the sun was setting. It was a vibe. I brought people to a view, of course. I switched when the surprise songs hit because of the route and all of that. But as we were leaving, Wildest Dreams was playing and just talking about staring at the sunset while the sunset was happening.
And then you got TTPD and Midnights in the Dark.
Dude, literally. And smallest man who ever lived. We were going through this park, and when we were going up this really steep section, that was when the Folkmore section was happening, and it actually was perfect. I was telling Molly, because it was just very calming. You're like, this incline sucks, but just let Champagne Problems just take you away. And you're going through neighborhoods, and people are coming out on their porch, and they're just vibing. It was peak.
I'm so happy for you. It sounded so awesome, and I've seen some of the footage already. You guys are gonna want to go check it out because it just looked so cool. I'm so proud of Ryan for having this idea and executing it. She's only been living out that way for a couple of months, and so for her to just come up with this and execute and get a bunch of people to turn out, congrats. Snaps all around. Everyone give Ryan congrats in the comments, please.
It was
and
so much
Alex
fun.
and I wish we could have been there so badly, but we want to join Ryan on one of these rides sometime. Whenever we finally get to come visit you in your new place, we want to time it with a bike ride.
Yes. I know. Anytime I do a Swiftie event without Molly, I feel like I'm cheating on her. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm going to this one thing. And I have a few this month that I'm doing, and each one I feel like I'm literally like cheating on her. I'm like, I'm sorry.
There's actually several in our area too, and same. It's hard to get up the courage to go without you.
I know. And obviously you're there with other Swifties, and that's always a vibe. But still, if they're not your people, you're like, how am I gonna act here?
Yeah.
You know, what's the comfort?
You know all my moves. Yeah.
I know I'm going to a version of, the Swiftageddon DJ set, like that kind of event in a few weeks. And I'm a little anxious because, I won't have you there. So I'm like, obviously people are going to be vibing. It's going to be fine. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't have the person who's going to be like doing the same dance moves as me. Like.
We went to one of those nights here, and Alex has the funniest video of me just like vibing by myself in the corner.
Oh, that's right. But that's weird because it was like a brewery and it was daylight. So I don't know. This is going to be, I think, the one like you and I went to where it's going to be hopefully dark and like a club setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. You looked so sad just in the corner. Like,
I was trying to have fun.
It's hard out here, y'all.
The last thing that we have to address before we get to the newsier portion of this episode is just that the other thing with Taylor owning her masters is that we're not clowning as hard anymore for anything, really. I mean, the day will come. Don't panic if you're a fellow clown out there. The day will come where there will be something for Ryan and I to clown about, and we will do that when the time is right. But we do not feel like now is the time.
You sound like Taylor. When the time is right. If you guys are into it, are you into
if
still
you're
clowning?
into the clowning?
If you're still into it, let us know. And so when the time is right, we'll come back. It's like we'll rise from the dead again. You said it. You quoted like spot on. Nailed it. I mean, it's not true, and it's like, I know people say, well, TS12 is on the horizon. I mean, I guess it is. I almost had a fear the other day when I saw people were clowning. People are still clowning out there because you can't, it's like an addiction. Some people can't cut it off. And I had a brief fear. I was like, am I actually out of touch now? And she's just gonna, just drop it. And I'm gonna have missed the whole, Easter egg that she laid out and which will be kind of exciting because then I'll be like, wow, I didn't see that coming. But then I'm like, I will feel like I misled everyone, aka the listeners and viewers of, sorry guys, didn't really, let you in on that. It just happened. Whoops.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I feel like the only tangible hint, potential Easter egg that we've gotten since you and I last talked about Easter eggs is that Taylor's site updated with the new merch in the store, and there is a new logo, and that the S in Swift looked very similar to the same S that Sabrina Carpenter has been using for the branding for her new album. And so people were wondering, are they teasing a collab? And then we usually would recap every single thing Taylor Nation has tweeted. That's what we've been doing all since the Iris tour ended. We've been literally taking a magnifying glass to every Taylor Nation tweet. And we no longer feel the need to do that. But I do need to say that their recent tweet reminding us about Taylor and Gracie singing Us within a week of the site updating and these Tay Sabrina collab rumors swirling, and then they're acknowledging her most recent collab. I just thought that timing was interesting. And I think that gave me the slightest hope that we could be clowning realistically for a collab with her and Sabrina.
Oh, yeah. And her album's coming out in August, Sabrina's, which that sprung up out of nowhere. I was like, oh, Man-Child, which I have been listening to nonstop. What a freaking vibe. What a vibe. I'm so team Sabrina. It's insane. It's so funny to think back to how I was a casual Gracie listener at one point. I was a casual Sabrina. And I know we're biased because they're in the Tay family, but truly, they have been putting out some really good freaking music. And they make it easy to stan. And just Sabrina's, she's the summer pop girly. No one does summer better than her, you know? She got us last year. Now
Sabrina Summer round 2.
Dude, for real. Yeah, I definitely think that the collab is possible for sure. And TS12, I genuinely, because I haven't been tracing the evidence, I don't know. You guys let me know if I've missed anything and if there's actually been, you know, signs. And I feel like such a hypocrite because when Taylor got her master's back, one of my first reactions was, who am I if I'm not clowning? And turns out I'm actually chilling. I'm actually way less anxious and have so much more mental capacity to just be like, I'm just out here listening to the rep backup vocals vibing. You know, I don't know.
Remember what I said to you? Literally, Alex, if you can find it, put the clip in. When you said, what will I be if I'm not clowning for Rep TV? And I said, then we'll be able to listen to Reputation. That's what this is all for. That's the whole point. And I said, then we'll finally be listening to Rep. We won't have to clown because we can listen to Rep. And guess what? Poof. It happened.
That's an edit in itself, like that. And then me just now being like, I'm chilling. What will we do when we're no longer clowning for Rep TV?
Like, what will we do with our lives?
What will we be doing?
Our life purpose will be complete.
Half of me's like, get it over with. The other half is like, but then what? You know?
Then we can listen to Reputation Taylor's version. That's what I think about that often. I'm like, I just want to be able to listen to it. I just want to listen to the non-stolen version. And I don't want to have to always be playing it on vinyl. I can't go for a run and listen to my vinyl. I need the streamable versions.
I know I've definitely cheated a little bit in the last month, but that was the first time in a while. And I'm just living for the Volt tracks. That's what I cannot wait.
I need all of it.
It's like the perfect timing too. I know she didn't plan when she was going to get her master's back to time out with summer, but what a good time to have that free mental space. It's like, it's summer, man. I'm trying to chill. I'm just trying to listen to all this new music. Benson Boone just came out with a new album. It's a vibe. All the Tay family, they're doing all the stuff. Taylor, she's chilling. She's not doing, I don't know what she's doing, but it doesn't matter because we have her whole discography and TTBD, which keeps us fed always. And then we have the Tay family, so we're good. Musically,
yeah,
you know?
She worked her butt off the last 2 summers and even more than that with the tour.
Get the
She's chilling eventually. And we're chilling and we're all good.
We'll get the Rep Volt tracks. I hope we get a remastered Rep someday. I've adapted to the OG and it's not the end of the world. You know, I went through a phase of grieving. I got over it and now I'm good. So very me. Very wow, that really took a 180. So,
and debut, we will see you next summer for the 20th anniversary. I just feel like that's when we're gonna get Taylor Swift Taylor's version.
It'll still be fun to have one more, because some people are saying, oh, like we're not getting any Taylor's versions, and it's like that's not technically what she said. I do still feel like we are getting debut Taylor's version, so that'll be fun to still have one more in the bag, you know, because we had big plans for that release as well. So
fully embrace our country era.
Oh yeah, I gotta buy some cowboy boots and a hat. I don't have anything right now, so I have time to prepare for that.
If you didn't see the news, Taylor Swift continues to be brought up in the ongoing legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So I wanted to go ahead and just give you a couple of updates that have been going on since the last time we discussed this, which was back in May. So the last time that we gave you an update, Justin Baldoni's team was trying to subpoena Taylor Swift, and Taylor's team released a statement on May 9th saying that Taylor was not involved in any part of this movie or the process of making the movie outside of licensing her song My Tears Ricochet to the movie. The statement from Taylor's team specifically said that this subpoena from Justin Baldoni was, quote, designed to use Taylor Swift's name to draw public interest by creating tabloid clickbait instead of focusing on the facts of the case, end quote. So then on May 22nd, a representative for Blake Lively confirmed that the subpoena was withdrawn by Justin Baldoni's team. After that, Blake's team then tried to prevent Justin's team from being able to gain access to any of the messages between Blake and Taylor that could have been uncovered in just a normal discovery process. However, the U.S. District Judge Lewis Lyman ruled on June 18th that the communications between Blake and Taylor about the environment on the movie It Ends With Us are relevant to the case. Quote, given that Lively has represented that Swift had knowledge of complaints or discussions about the working environment on the film, among other issues, the requests for messages with Swift regarding the film and this action are reasonably tailored to discover information that would prove or disprove Lively's harassment and retaliation claims, end quote. So in response to this decision, a spokesperson for Blake told Billboard that the actress had produced far more documents in this case than Baldoni, and they added that Baldoni and his publicity team have been trying to drag Taylor into this saga since last summer. Quote, we will continue to call out Baldoni's relentless efforts to exploit Miss Swift's popularity, which from day one has been nothing more than a distraction from the serious sexual harassment and retaliation accusations that he and the Wayfarer parties are facing. But the judge said that Lively's claim that Baldoni was only involving Swift in this case for PR purposes does not justify denying the Wayfarer party's relevant discovery. So essentially, they're entitled to just the messages that would have any communication about what the environment was like on set for Blake. If she communicated any of those details to Taylor, then they would be relevant to this case. And the discovery process and these text messages are supposed to be private and kept secured and not available to the general public. So after all of this went down last week, as of the time that we're recording this on Monday night, June 23rd, a representative for Baldoni had declined to comment on this, and we have not heard anything from Taylor's team about this. So we will continue to keep you posted if there's any other relevant information regarding Taylor and her potential involvement in this legal feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we can't wait to hear from you about what you've been listening to since Taylor got her master's back. If you guys are clowning for anything, please let us know.
And if you are going to go on this Summer I Turned Pretty journey with us, or the Traders journey when that happens in January, let us know your interest level in the comments. We're excited to talk about it if you guys want to hear it. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our Patreon if you'd like to watch ad-free and see our bonus content.
Bye.
Bye.